Hi, this is guitarist Dennis Tafe, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Bargain Bin Gear. And this time around we're going to talk about octave pedals. Okay? And octave pedals, is an effects pedal that takes your guitar signal and can drop it 1 octave or 2 octaves down for a lower sound, or 1 octave or 2 octaves up for a higher sound, or a combination of the both. Okay, that's the main idea. Now, surprisingly, there's a lot of different styles of pedals, of octave pedals. All different kinds. Some are combined with a fuzz unit, for a more distorted sound. And they range in price. All different kinds. What really piqued my interest in an octave pedal is because I use looping. I use a looper a lot. So if I'm playing a guitar part, let's say chords or something, I'd very much like to emulate what a bass guitar would sound like, and just add it, just playing the root note of the chords that I'm playing when I'm looping. Sounds like a simple task, but it's actually much more complicated than you'd ever realize. In fact, I've actually gone through quite a few different octave pedals with varying degrees of success. Now add to that I want MIDI control, right, where I can hit a button and it changes to a bass sound on my guitar, make it sound like a bass, hit the button again and go back to guitar sound, right? On my MIDI controller. So anyway, I went looking around for an octave pedal, just nothing fancy. This is mostly just for practicing and that kind of thing. So didn't have to be perfect, just create a bass type sound. And I went through and was shocked to find the prices were pretty high, really. New octave pedals ranged anywhere from, maybe it was like $60 to $200, $300. So it was quite a varying degree. And, I didn't really want to spend too much money on it. So I went around looking, and in particular looking at a used octave pedal. And the cheapest I found was $41. Here's what I got. It's actually arrived. Here it is. And this is probably one of the most inexpensive octave pedals you'll find. In fact, it's the cheapest octave pedal I could find. Seriously. Surprisingly. And what it is, it's a Tomsline engineering. See that? Tomsline engineering. This is the box. It comes in. We're going to have an unboxing here. Are you ready? Don't try this at home. Only experienced professionals should try. And there it is. The box is open. Unleash the Kraken! And here it is. So, there's a little piece of styrofoam right here, which you remove. And here it is. It's a Tomsline engineering OCTPUS pedal. Right? Here it is. Wow! Look at that. So, quality-wise, I found that it's really well built. Pretty darn solid. Quite impressed. Right? On-off switch. And then it's got 3 different modes and 2 little octave 1 and octave 2 little volumes, knobs, and then a mix level right here. Now, I didn't know much about this pedal at all, but it sounded cool. And it is that this is not an ordinary octave pedal. And in fact, it is a polyphonic octave pedal. Okay? Now, the difference is between an ordinary octave pedal, which would be a monophonic pedal in most cases, and that is where it only plays 1 note at a time. And if you try to play 2 notes together, right, you get a real weird, glitchy kind of sound. Okay, and so this is one of the big differences, is that this is actually polyphonic, which means you can play several strings or notes at one time, all together as in a chord or an arpeggio and that kind of thing, and let it ring out. And you're not going to get those weird, glitchy sounds. That's pretty cool. Now, for details, another review on this pedal, Tom Quayle, right? If you've seen his YouTube videos, usually in conjunction with Dawson's music store, I think, or at least at one time. In any case, Tom Quayle did a review of this pedal and quite liked it. And remember, my goal with buying a real cheap octave pedal was just something I could use with my looping to get a bass type sound. Okay, so, well, I tried this out, not expecting much, and in a way, I got some really unexpected results. Okay, first let's take a listen to the pedal at doing just bass emulation. Okay, should be fairly simple. Alright, now let's try the little inexpensive OCTPUS pedal. Okay, now I was hoping to get kind of that, you know, somewhat authentic bass sound, but instead this is what I got. This is the Tomsline Engineering OCTPUS pedal. So as you can tell, it's just not as bassy as full. It's got kind of this almost chorusy warble. However, I'm going to add the second octave a little bit. And it gives you kind of a better bass emulation. So even then, it's not ideal. However, over a guitar chord, you know, right, that kind of gives you a little bass type sound. Okay, does it sound like a bass guitar? No. No. And you can't really expect it to, especially at this price point. You know, it's so inexpensive. You know. So, yes, it can do bass emulation. It can sound like a bass, kind of. It's not great, okay? As you heard, it's okay. It's okay. And I mean, it'll, you know, if you had to, especially when you're just practicing your song, it does make a difference. And in fact, let's compare this octave pedal to the bass octaver in the Line 6 M5. Alright, now, here's the Line 6 M5. Okay, so that gives you kind of a more bass-like sound, right? Now, unfortunately, though, if you put several of the notes together, first off, the guitar speakers can't handle it. Right? They kind of flub out. And it's also, you get that kind of glitchiness. So it's really kind of one note at a time, you know. Boy, that makes, like, everything shake in my room. However, what I didn't expect from this pedal is that it can be very, very cool. It does some really cool polyphonic things that I just hadn't even thought of, sound-wise. And that made the pedal worthwhile, price-wise and sound-wise. And let's take a listen to it right now. Okay, now, I've got an Eventide H9, and it's on a preset. And with just guitar, it sounds like this. It's a pretty drastic preset, but watch what happens when you turn on the OCTPUS guitar. Here we go. In the lowest position. Pretty cool. And so you can play let's try a preset that's not quite as drastic. So here's just a kind of a delay. And this is where the pedal, really, the octave pedal, here's just the guitar. Simple delay, and let's turn on the octave pedal. There you go. Let's try that. I forgot what I played, but I'll try. That's just really cool, I think. I really like that. Now it has another setting in the middle. And what's cool is, of course you can, let's take out all the guitar, and you get this kind of... Yeah. Here's the upper, the high mode, if you like. I really dislike this mode quite a bit. It's kind of this. I guess you could do. Not my favorite by any means, but... So, overall, do I recommend this pedal? Okay. My thoughts are this. Number one, if you're buying it for a bass emulation pedal, I may consider looking elsewhere. It's not that it doesn't do a bass sound, just it's not very convincing. It doesn't sound like a bass. So for that, I really wouldn't recommend this pedal for just straight bass emulation. But that's not where its strengths are, and that's what really surprised me, is that this is a really cool pedal for doing exactly what it says, a kind of polyphonic octave. Now listen, if you combine that, what this pedal does, with delays or reverbs and modulations, what have you, other effects, you can get some really amazing sounds out of it. Sounds I'd never even thought of using. And for that alone, makes this pedal worthwhile. You know, it's a very unique kind of sound, really. Very interesting. So while it doesn't do the best bass emulation you've ever heard, it does some really interesting sounds. And in fact, if you use it enough, you know, when you go back to the playing regular guitar, it's like, oh man, where's the bass at? You know, you kind of miss it, surprisingly. So, for the money, you know, 30, 40 bucks, it's really a bargain. Very cool. Very cool pedal. And I should tell you too, it doesn't like suck your tone out when you plug it in. You know, I believe it's a true bypass pedal. And when it's not engaged, it doesn't seem to mess with your sound anywhere. And it's not noisy. You know, with these cheap pedals, you got to be really careful, because some of them are noisy. Right? And you get a noisy pedal, it's all over. You know, you can't record with it. And so in that sense, it's really a bargain, I think. And keep in mind, it's a mini type pedal, but it's too small for a battery, so it doesn't take a battery. You have to plug it in with a 9-volt right here, like you do most pedals. Okay, and yeah, very interesting pedal. I certainly don't regret it. I think something like maybe a Boss OC3 would give you a better bass octave sound, but it still can't do what this pedal does. you know, with the polyphonic octaves. Very, very interesting. So, pretty good purchase. I'm very pleased. And it gave me some sounds I just had never even considered, you know. Very interesting, yeah. And in a pinch, you know, I mean, you can do the kind of bass things. And I noticed that, you know, when I'm playing chords or what have you, and looping them, then adding just a bass note, you know, like on the 6th or 5th string. It's fine for that, you know, it's okay. If I was doing a recording that I was going to release or whatever, I'd probably want something a little better at doing the kind of bass emulation. But I find that the polyphonic octave capabilities of the pedal are really, really interesting and worthwhile. You know, and it tracks really well. I mean, you gotta remember, it's such an inexpensive pedal to begin with. But it can actually do some pretty cool stuff, really. Alright, very good. See you next time. Okay, bye.